Welcome back to episode 2 of Switchpoint, and today we've got a packed episode for you. Nintendo is no stranger to game development, obviously, and within the company, there's all sorts of different teams working on games, not to mention second and third party partners. So today, we'll be going through every single one of these studios, kind of making a guess on what they might be working on. How's that sound, Cyrus?
Sounds good to me. I'm excited.
Me as well. So I think the first place, obviously, we got to start is Nintendo Entertainment Planning and Development, which is Nintendo EPD. If you're unfamiliar, this is the biggest company, or sorry, the biggest division in Nintendo. And really, I mean, this is where all the magic happens. There's so many people, so many teams here, and 99% of the games that come out of Nintendo come from this division. So really, we're going to start from the top down. There's 11 different groups inside EPD, and we're kind of just going to make our predictions on what they could be working on. But really, to kick things off, we're going to take EPD 1, which, in the past worked on Advance Wars, Brain Age, and a couple other games. They really haven't been credited since quite a few years ago. So we're based on following credits and things like that. We assume that they've been folded into EPD2. So we're going to start there. So Nintendo EPD2 kind of their role is to oversee and help planning for third-party titles with developers for Nintendo first-party software. So on Switch, we had EPD2 help with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet with Game Freak, Mario Party Superstars with ND Cube, Kirby and the Forgotten Land with HAL Laboratory, Mario Tennis Aces with Camelot, Xenoblade 3 with Monolith Soft, Fire Emblem Engage with Intelligent Systems, and Bayonetta 3 with Platinum. So they're probably busy, if I were to guess.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, a lot of these companies have been pretty quiet for the last 2 years. I mean, Game Freak obviously has been working on some major stuff here and there, and we recently got a brand new Mario Party. But from the rest, it's been pretty quiet for a little bit, which likely means they're cooking something up for the next year or so.
Definitely. And I mean, like, we'll get to all these developers individually in a little bit, but I mean, the general role of EPD2 is to just help assist development for these games. So I'm going to assume that they are probably quite busy helping development. But we're going to look now at EPD3. So that's the Zelda team. So as we know, Tears of the Kingdom came out in May 2023. And I mean, they obviously are working on the next Zelda game, right?
Oh, for sure. It's just a question of how big in scale that next Zelda game will be compared to Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild.
I mean, I don't know. So, what are your thoughts on kind of what the next Zelda game is going to look like? Because for me, I think we're going to see a lot more grounded structure, and it's going to be a lot more story and less exploration driven. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm wrong, but I think Aonuma and that team are going to want to kind of take things back to the roots of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask and have a tighter experience that still kind of retains some of the gameplay design of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but more so kind of creates a new experience for players that's not another, massive open world Zelda game.
Yeah, I agree. I think every Nintendo console has sort of had a unified vision for Zelda. For instance, there's been yes, every Zelda has had a very unified vision for each console that Nintendo has put out. With the Nintendo 64 was of course Ocarina and Majora's Mask. With the DS, it was Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass. With the Nintendo Switch, it was both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Only real major exception was the completely different directions we got on the GameCube with both Wind Waker and I think it was Twilight Princess. So going into the Switch 2, I wouldn't be surprised if they go in a brand new direction. I doubt it'll be like a sequel or follow up to any pre existing Zelda games. I doubt we'll get like a Wind Waker 2 or any follow up to anything that has come before. I think it'll probably be a brand new vision. And I think it will, in a lot of ways, take the series back to its roots on the Nintendo 64. because Breath of the Wild took its roots back to the original game on the Nintendo Entertainment System with this very open design and a big sandbox to explore that was not linear at all. Here, I feel like things will be a little bit more linear and will follow the more traditional approach of dungeons compared to, the shrines and smaller scale stuff that we had in Tears and Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely agree. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I loved both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but I am definitely ready for a change. There's a lot of games out there nowadays that ever since Breath of the Wild released have done everything they could to copy and emulate it. And I'm just at the point where I'm like, Tears of the Kingdom was the perfect evolution. I just don't know how you can do better than that with the formula that they had. So rightful 2023 game of the year. I'm sorry, but I think that overall, Nintendo and that EPD3 team, they're going to be cooking something that's really new and fresh, and I think it's going to be really exciting for a lot of players.
Agreed. I think it will be a relief for Zelda players to kind of go back to the basics that a lot of people grew up with when it comes to Zelda. I think the big question is going to be the world itself. There's a lot of different directions they could go. Breath of the Wild and Tears tease their own thing, but if there's one thing I've learned is that Zelda and its pattern is not predictable at all. For all we know, we could get they could do what they were going to do with the Breath of the Wild concept art and go a more cyberpunk direction. Who knows? I would be love that. Um, bring back the bike from the Breath of the Wild DLC. That'd be great.
It sounds like you just want to play Cyberpunk 2077.
Yes, I would love to play Cyberpunk 2077, but with Zelda characters.
You can probably find a mod for that.
Probably. Either
Moving
way.
on. Yeah, I mean, hey, I think we've said our piece on Zelda, but I will say before we transition to EPD4, when do you expect this new Zelda game to come out?
Ooh, I think it will either be 2026 or 2027. I think that makes sense.
Really?
Yeah. What do you
Okay.
think?
I think, I mean, yeah, okay, 2027 I agree with, but like, I don't think we're going to see the new Zelda game until year 3 of Switch 2 minimum. Like, I think it's a year 3 game
I could
because
see that.
Tears in the Kingdom took how many years? Like
Oh
six
God.
years, I
Yeah,
think. It took
about
6 years to develop.
Yeah.
And realistically, I mean, I'm not saying that, they're going to take 6 years on this next one, but I also think, like, yeah, it's going to be smaller in scale, but that doesn't mean that it's going to take less time. I mean, games nowadays are taking more time than ever to develop. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a 5 year development plan, but I would not be surprised if, like, this is a 4 year game that needs development. And I think 2027 is probably the earliest we'll see it. But at the same time, let's say you have a bunch of other games. I mean, they've got so much lined up. It's not going to be that big of a deal. And we'll have Zelda. We've talked about that last week. Like, we're going to have Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD. We're going to have the Zelda games that we need. So I'm not stressed about not getting Zelda on Switch or Switch 2 early on. And with the back catalog too.
Yeah, for sure. I think, realistically, we'll have, as you said, our fair share of Zelda games in the next 2 years. I think we'll probably get a first tease at something to come in either, like I said, 2026 or 2027. And a release date, I mean, it depends. It could go either way. But needless to say, I don't think we're gonna go into April without anything from the Zelda team at EPD3.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I would expect that they did not work on the ports, but yeah,
Sure.
we're not, Zelda will have something this year. There's no question. It's one of Nintendo's biggest properties. There's no way. But yeah, let's move into EPD4. So this is kind of a fun team to predict. EPD4 is best known on Switch for Ring Fit Adventure, Nintendo Switch Sports, 1-2 Switch, and Labo. So I kind of view this as like the experiment team, right? Like, this is the fun, like, let's try to create something really new and wacky. So with Switch 2, for me, I'm like, this has to be the team that is working on some crazy game with the mouse functionality, right?
Yeah, I could see that. I definitely think that it will be something related to just taking whatever capabilities that the new Switch will have compared to the original Switch and essentially putting it through its paces. Kind of what the Astrobot series does for PlayStation. Um, or more accurately and more appropriately, what the pack-in titles have done for Nintendo in the past. Essentially, introducing the new mechanics of the system to new owners. And in that case, it might not even just be the mouse. It might even be the C button that we mysteriously don't know anything about that will have some functionality with whatever new game that EPD4 is developing. Personally, if we're being as specific as possible, and it is really hard to be specific with this team, I would not be surprised if they end up having either one of or the pack-in title for day one of the Switch 2.
I agree. I think that, I mean, to be fair, their last game was Switch Sports, which was in 2022. And I mean, sure, there have been some updates, but like they've been working on a new game. I think realistically, it's pretty likely we're probably going to see it at launch. I think that's a fair statement. I mean, they put out 3 games within the first 3 years of Switch. We got 1-2 Switch in March of 2017. April 2018, we got Labo. And then October 2019, we got Ring Fit. So I don't know. And honestly, maybe I'm crazy. I would not be surprised if they're working on like Ring Fit Adventure 2. I really wouldn't because that
Hmm.
game was arguably one of the most successful titles. It was a new IP, remember?
Yep.
It's one of the most successful games Nintendo's had this generation. And out of nowhere, really. I mean, it sold over 10 million copies. It's crazy.
Yeah, very true. I think Nintendo has been doing this sort of thing since the Wii, where they've been playing around with the sort of fitness idea, and it really seems to hit for a lot of players on Nintendo consoles. Even when other consoles try similar things with like the Kinect and the PlayStation Move, it just doesn't click the same way that this team does when it does, Ring Fit or the Wii Fit balance board or similar other adjacent things like that. But on the subject, something else I've been thinking about, likely Ring Fit and Nintendo Labo will not be playable in their original forms on the Switch 2 at all. I think they will either have new versions or new gimmicks.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of that has to do with the IR sensor being gone, right? So
True.
the IR sensor not being there makes Labo virtually impossible. And that's kind of whenever they said like, oh, certain games that won't work in that little advert when Switch 2 got revealed. I'm like, okay, yeah, like maybe five. Right?
Yeah, I'm not seeing like I doubt that they're gonna say some nonsense like, "Oh, you're not gonna be able to play New Super Mario Bros. U on the
No.
Nintendo Switch
The
2."
only reason you're not gonna be able to play a game on Switch 2 is because the hardware doesn't allow it. And that's because of the IR
Exactly.
sensor missing. So I'm not stressed about that. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what EPD4 comes up with. I mean, that's a really fun studio. So I mean, hey, maybe we get a new Brain Age because I'm pretty sure that was the team behind Brain Age as well.
Oh, that'd be nice. I've been missing Brain Age since the DS.
That was always logging in every day. That was always funny.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, so really with EPD4 wrapped up, we've got EPD5, and this is a pretty simple one: Splatoon and Animal Crossing. So,
Ah,
what could they be working on?
gee, I wonder. I'm going to, take a wild guess, maybe a shot in the dark, crazy prediction that they are in fact working on a new Animal Crossing and Splatoon 4. I know, truly groundbreaking stuff here, but it makes sense. I mean, these are these have been their most successful franchises for well, one of their most successful franchises for quite a bit. New Leaf and New Horizons did great. I mean, New Horizons, did so much during the pandemic era. Um, and Splatoon has been a big part of their intellectual property lists and portfolio since the Wii U. So it would not surprise me in the slightest if they were going to try and get those new games out this year or next year.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, we talked about this last week. I am under the belief that like Nintendo is like, we have to get Animal Crossing out as soon as possible. And
Yeah.
I'll say, I do not think that the next game is going to sell anywhere near what New Horizons did. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll eat my words later. But New Horizons is such an interesting case study because it came out right when COVID hit and right when
Yeah.
lockdowns happened. And so many people bought Switch Lights and Switches because of them. So I don't know how. I mean, it'll still sell 10 million copies. It's a guaranteed seller. But I'm really curious to see what that game ends up doing. But no, I totally agree. I think Splatoon 4 and the next Animal Crossing are like the safest predictions you can make for the first 24 months of Switch 2. Like they're so safe. You had like that has to be a thing. That's two of your biggest four properties right now. You have to put two games out for them.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what they do with Splatoon 4 because every Splatoon has had a final Splatfest that determines the direction of the next game. And if memory serves, the most recent one was past versus present versus future. And I think past won.
I
And
think you're right.
yeah, and I'm not sure what that could possibly mean for the direction of the franchise. I mean, on the one hand, they could go full prehistoric and just go with a really insane, have dinosaurs and all that nonsense. Because I don't think, with Splatoon 3, Splatoon 2 had the chaos versus order theme. I didn't go really too far with the chaos theme in Splatoon 3, so it could be something really small, or it could be a prequel. Who knows?
I think they're gonna lean. I think dinosaurs are happening. Bring on the dinos, man. I think it's
Yep.
happening. I that's what you have to do because if you look at past, present, future, like they're trying to do a reset. That's the whole reason they did that. Like, let's get a reset so we can enter a new era and we're not in this like barren wasteland, right? So realistically, past, I'm thinking Fossil Falls, Mario Odyssey. I'm
Oh,
thinking like
yeah.
that. Like that's what we're gonna be getting. I want dinosaurs everywhere in this Splatoon style. Like it's gonna be sick, dude. I think that'll be really fun. I think a lot of people will like it. But hey, maybe I'm wrong and it's gonna be like 1920s or something. Like that would
Oh
be
my
cool
god,
too.
that'd be great. I would
Yeah,
love a mafia themed Splatoon
that would be
game.
really
That'd be
cool.
crazy.
Maybe a little out of Nintendo's range, but a little bit. So speaking on Animal Crossing, like, did you play a lot of New Horizons?
Actually, no. I was more of a New Leaf guy.
Okay.
When I was starting to get into New Horizons, it was kind of past its prime. Because it came out on the same day as Doom Eternal, and I'm like, all right, I have to pick here, and I picked Doom Eternal, and but every single one of my friends were so into New Horizons, and it was very much lightning in a bottle moment because it wasn't just people, of course, like everyone, in school and in work, were all getting into it, but it was also weird things like talk shows were being held in Animal Crossing New Horizons, which was unbelievable. So I don't know how they're gonna even remotely top that. Um, so what about you? I assume you played a little bit of New Horizons.
Yeah, I hate that game. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I have a really love-hate relationship with it. Um, there's so many people. So when it came out, right? I remember the night it came out, 11 p.m. Like I'm getting ready. I've got Doom Eternal downloading. So I'm sitting at the title screen at like midnight. I've got Doom and I've got Animal Crossing on my left, and I'm like switching between them, playing a level of Doom. Okay, go play some Animal Crossing.
What
That
a
was a fun
insane.
time. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great, and I had a good time with it and everything. But I played like 50 hours and I was like, I'm done. Like I'm done. I don't really like they just didn't have enough. And the problem with that game, like Nintendo, why did you not release any new content? Like it was right in front of you to be like, okay, we're gonna plan for 24 months of every 2 months we're gonna drop a content update. Like that's all you had to do to keep people interested. Like I would have gone back. But I'm like, man, the thing that really got me, I'll tell you, for whatever reason, and I don't, I really hope I'm not wrong on this, but I'm 99% sure I'm right. I got an OLED Switch when they came out. I transferred my stuff. My Animal Crossing, you can't transfer consoles with it. So it
Really?
completely got wiped. Yeah, my island's gone. So I remember
Wow.
booting up the game a couple months after I had switched over, and I'm like, where the heck is my island? Like I had all
Yeah.
these villagers, I curated it. I'm like, it looked awesome, and now it's just gone. I'm like, oh, whatever. So I hate that game. No, I'm kidding, but I did, but I kind of do for that.
Yeah.
But I think New Horizons made a lot of good strides forward. But again, I just feel like it was just kind of like I don't know, man. I played, and to be fair, this is coming from someone like, all right, so I just reviewed Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Really
What a
fun game.
sentence.
Really fun game. And it's definitely like it's similar to Animal Crossing, but the thing about that game that I like more than Animal Crossing is there's so much to do. Like you can go dive in coral reefs, you can go climb scale mountains. It's a bunch of just all kinds of crazy stuff. And I'm like, I thought about a lot while I was playing it. I'm like, I really hope that the next Animal Crossing goes above and beyond and offers like a lot more different ways to keep people engaged. Because for me, like literally just logging in once a day, watering crops and like talking to five people is just not fun. And that's coming from someone, by the way, like I don't play like any of the like, quote unquote cozy games or whatever. Like I'm not a person that plays those. I've got all the coziness I need with my gruesome RPGs, but
Yeah.
I just don't really play a lot of them. So I think that, my perspective is probably different than a lot of people. A lot of people are probably like, oh, God, I love the fact that it's simple, that I can just log in, do a couple things, and it's all cute, and I don't have to do anything. I totally get that, and I think that's probably the case for a lot of people. But for me, it was like, man, like I just wish they had more to keep me engaged. And so I hope with this next entry, like they're thinking outside the box of, okay, how can we keep the overall experience simple and not stressful, but how can we make it, if you want more, it's out there, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely in the same boat. I'm not a big cozy game guy. I don't like Stardew Valley and other similar games like that. I barely even like those sort of survival games like Minecraft. I mean, I like Minecraft. Everyone likes Minecraft, but I don't care for, Terraria or similar games like that where you have to build and do those sort of things. The only real exceptions, and speaking on Nintendo and thinking about where they could go for Animal Crossing or new games in general, Tomodachi Life was my guilty pleasure on the 3DS. And similar things to that, where, I'm not saying that the new Animal Crossing should take more inspiration from Tomodachi Life. I wouldn't be against it, but I would rather just have a new Tomodachi Life. But I think you're on to something with allowing the players to do more things around the island and having a lot more maneuverability and more different things to do with the villagers. I think would be great. Stardew Valley, of course, has the romance mechanic. I'm not saying you should be able to romance the villagers, but having individual, you know, interactions with each of the villagers that are per player almost, I think would be ambitious to be sure, but would keep people coming back and would make the quest to find specific villagers all the more compelling.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, I'm still not over the fact that you like almost said you didn't like Minecraft.
Yeah, fair enough. It's been a while since I've played Minecraft.
That's
I'll say
honestly the
that.
craziest take I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met anyone who doesn't like Minecraft.
No, I like Minecraft. I need to play it on more consoles. That's for sure. I think
That's that's crazy,
yeah.
man. My favorite experience, this is like super off the rails, but my favorite experience I had with Minecraft, and it's like the most hardcore thing you could ever do in Minecraft. 2B2T, the Anarchy server, where
Yeah.
it's been open for like 15 years or whatever, and they don't ever reset the world. Like they have this giant world, you have to wait hours to get in to be queued, and literally, like I'm telling you, this world is crazy. These people just sit at spawn and try to, like, oh, I'm gonna kill you, boom, and it's so hard, it's terrible. But I ended up playing. This was a couple years ago, but I ended up playing, and me and a buddy actually managed to get like a million blocks away from spawn.
Oh my
And
god.
yeah, it's crazy. And we use that with in the Nether because one block in the Nether is 8 blocks in the overworld.
Right.
And like we've traveled so far, but like the saying goes, it's really hard to keep a base because in 2v2t everything it's an anarchy server. You could do whatever you want. Like you can go grief
Yeah.
a base, you can blow it up, do whatever. So it's really hard to keep a base. But we built our base like a million blocks away from spawn in like a really secluded location. Made it it was crazy, dude. I don't have very many pictures of it, but like it was by far the most intricate thing I've ever done in Minecraft. And it lasted like 20 months, almost 2 years. It
Huh.
was alive and no one blew it up or no one found it, which is crazy. And that's super rare for that server. But I remember logging in like 6 months after or whatever, and it got blown up, and I was like, oh man. But I was like, that's the most fun I've had in Minecraft, and I'm like, gosh, that's the type of stuff where I'm like, I don't know how anyone says they don't like Minecraft because that was the most fun I've had. That's like one of my favorite experiences in games is the 2B2T stuff because it's crazy, but that's like super hardcore. But anyways, Minecraft aside, yeah. So that's EPD 5. That's EPD 5. So Splatoon 4, New Animal Crossing. Moving on, we're gonna do a little shuffle. EPD 6. So again, once again, like EPD 2, this is a team that assists external developers, mainly Next Level Games, Intelligent Systems, and Retro Studios. We'll talk about all those later. So if that's all right with you, Cyrus, I think we should just move on. But
Works for me.
we'll talk on that later. But they're working on games. So all right, EPD 7 is really interesting one. This is the Metroid team. But not only is it the Metroid team, it's the 2D Metroid team, Rhythm Heaven, and Tomodachi Life, and Famicom Detective Club.
The big one, yes.
Yeah, the big one. No, it's not the big one.
Out of
But
that
my
entire
God,
list.
Emio was phenomenal. If you've not played Emio, you need to go play Emio. I think it was, I had it, yeah, it was my third favorite game of 2024, which says a lot
Wow.
because last year was a great year. But that game is phenomenal. So yeah, I'll just start. I hope that they are making a new Famicom Detective Club game because this Emio was awesome. It was amazing. I'm sure that they're working on a 2D Metroid game with Mercury Steam. I mean, let's be honest, that's pretty much a guaranteed after the success of Dread selling over 3 million copies. But beyond that, it's like, gosh, man, I need a Famicom Detective Club game. I need another one.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I remember the first TV spot. No, it was just like a small teaser that came out for Emio, and everyone was like, "What in the world is this?" It was just a guy with a bag on his head with like a smiley face drawn in, and it looked like something out of a Silent Hill. And everyone was wondering. I saw some people in the comments were like, "Is this PT?" Which is completely insane. But I don't think anyone expected it to be a Famicom Detective Club. So more of that would be awesome. But for me, out of that team, again, 2D Metroid's a no brainer. I think the big question is, will it be, a remaster slash remake similar to Samus Returns? Will they bring Samus Returns to the Switch? Could we get a new version of Fusion? I think that'd be great. Um, but I think it's also possible that it picks up right off where Dread ended and just continues that story of where Samus goes after the events of that story. Um, but of course, as I literally just mentioned, Tomodachi Life, I would love to see a new Tomodachi Life or something in that category. I sunk in so many hours to the 3DS and that whole system. And something I really hope that they bring back in general for the Switch too is Mii's. Because Mii's kind of played a smaller role on the new console. And so I hope that kind of comes back in a little bit, that we get some of that classic customization. But I think, you mentioned Rhythm Heaven. That's another big one that I want to see. We haven't gotten new Rhythm Heaven since the 3DS. So seeing that return would be incredible, I think.
Yeah, that would be really cool. And it's kind of surprising to me with how much experimentation happened on Switch that we did not get that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, oh man, you said Samus Returns. I kind of hope they don't do that. I'd like to see all the 2D Metroids come over, but I'm kind of hoping that they're working on a new one. And to be fair, it has been at this point almost 4 years since Dread. Like,
True.
I am guessing, if I were to have to guess, that they're working on a new 2D Metro game at Mercury Steam that will probably come out in 2026. And the reason I say that, I think it could come out this year, but is Nintendo really going to do Prime 2, Prime 3, Prime 4, and a new 2D Metroid? I think that's overkill. So I think they're going to save the
Yeah.
2D for next year. But I don't know, maybe.
I definitely agree. I think 2D Metroid next year makes a lot of sense. I think unless they really want to like market this year as the year of Metroid, which hey, I wouldn't be against. We get a Metroid, a custom Metroid, Switch 2. That'd be awesome, I think. But it's unlikely. So I think fans will have a lot to look forward to just with Metroid Prime 4. I wouldn't be surprised if we get an announcement for the new 2D Metroid at either April or the Summer Game Fest season. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I do agree that, a new Metroid, 2D Metroid would be more exciting than just another remaster, especially with how Dread ends things and where the series could go next.
100%. And I guess really, I mean, that takes us to EPD8, which the big 3D Mario team. So, this team, Odyssey in 2017, 3D Mario All Stars in September 2020, and then in February 2021, we got Super Mario World, Super Mario 3D World, and Bowser's Fury. They've been cooking. I mean, they have been
For sure.
cooking. This is the big game of this year. I don't care. Mario Kart, go away. This is the big game of the year. Like this is the game outside of Death Stranding 2 that I am just been waiting for I feel like 10 years. I mean, it almost is at this point. It's insane. This is the game. So we know they're cooking. Now granted, what is that 3D Mario going to look like? I don't know. I mean, that just depends on who you ask, but I think this game is going to be insane. It's going to blow away every single expectation from so many people.
Yeah, definitely. I think 3D Mario has taken a bit of a back seat for the last few years, and if the last year's success of Astrobot is anything to go by, people are really yearning to go back to that classic collectathon formula for 3D platformers. And I mean, you can't get much more classic 3D platformer collectathon than 3D Mario. Um, in terms of where they'll go next, I mean, like you said, that's pretty much anyone's guess. Personally, I think it'll be a similar style to Bowser's Fury, where it'll be more one big open area or smaller open areas that go to sort of taking the world map from the 2D Marios to life, where the going from one place to the next is seamless instead of it being sort of a level select like the older 3D Mario games, where you have to jump into a painting or go into the observatory or other things like that. I think it'll be a lot more smooth and a lot more exciting. I think it'll probably follow the same art style changes as Mario Kart and Mario Wonder. My question is, I want to see some crazy things. I want to see more traditional Mario characters that we don't really see in these 3D Mario games. Odyssey brought back Pauline. Of course, we were almost definitely going to have a similar Bowser kidnaps Peach story. Shocker, shocker. But, I'd love to see Luigi. I'd love to see Wario show up. I have been wanting this for a long time. I would love to see Waluigi play an antagonistic role. Maybe even the main antagonist, I think would be great.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I mean, Waluigi and even Wario really have just not had that big of a role in 3D Mario. And I mean, and I think that would be really cool to bring them in. And who knows? I mean, 3D Mario is so open-ended, and I think that's going to be the theme around this game is like, hey, we've made this ginormous open-ended game that is able to take advantage of the hardware for Switch 2. So I'm just ready to see it. Like we talked about previously, like I'm fully expecting like Unreal Engine Mario running through the grass moment whenever this thing gets revealed in April. Like I am expecting that.
Definitely. Yeah, Sonic Frontiers, but with Mario makes a lot of sense to
But
me.
with no pop in and actually looks good and is actually a good game. Sorry, Sonic
Yes.
fans.
Yep.
Yeah, but Mario's really exciting and we know what they're working on. It's pretty easy. So here's where things get interesting. EPD9, Mario Kart team. What could they be working on? Oh wait, we already know. New Mario Kart.
Yeah.
We've seen it.
Yeah, pretty much just Mario Kart 9. I wouldn't be surprised if that's literally the first thing they show off at the April 2nd showcase, just to kind of lead things in. On the flip side, I have a feeling that 3D Mario will be the last thing they show off as like the big bombshell for the event. But the other part of EPD 9 is ARMS. Now, do you
Yes.
think we'll get an ARMS too?
Oh, I hope so. And honestly, if I my gut tells me yes, and the reason is because that game sold pretty well for new IP. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but like I want to say it sold above 2 million copies. I want to say it was about 3 million copies, which is really not that bad for a new IP. So I really hope we get Arms too. It's one of the most unique games on Switch, and I think that if that team was able to craft a sequel and really kind of shake things up and take the feedback from players on the first game, it could be something really cool. I mean, I really do. I think they had so many amazing character designs and ideas with that game. It was just so fresh and fun. I mean, I actually pulled out my copy the other day, was going through and looking at something. I mean, I really hope we get a sequel.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think it'd be really fun. I kind of want them to play around more with new ideas, new character designs. Personally, and I've wanted this since they initially announced Arms. I would love for Little Mac to be a guest character. I'm
Oh
a
yeah.
Punch Out fan. Where he's sort of like a glass cannon, where he doesn't have the stretch powers that the rest of the roster does, but if he gets in close, he will hit like a truck. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome. I mean, the punch out arms thing, I'm surprised it didn't happen. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's really funny to me that so many people online talk about how the game failed when it's like, yeah, I just confirmed 2.72 million units. Uh pretty good for a new IP. You have to think about the number of new IPs Nintendo's put out over the last like 15 years. Like, that's a good number. That's a solid number. That's a healthy number. 2.72 million copies. I mean, and you have to think too, what genre is it in? It's a fighting game. I mean, fighting games in general, that 2 to 5 million range is really good. I mean, you only Mortal Kombat and Smash are the ones that ever eclipse 10 million copies, I feel like. And Smash is like 30 or whatever. But I mean, yeah, I think it's sold pretty well for what it is. And I think that that's something that a lot of people just deny outright when really, I mean, it was probably a pretty successful title for Nintendo.
Yeah, for sure. I think the only reason it probably wasn't more successful, personally, when I was watching the Nintendo showcase back in January 2017, I thought it would be a pack-in title. I thought that was going to be the Nintendo Land or Wii Sports of the console instead of, 1-2 Switch. So yeah, I think if it had released a month earlier potentially, because it released in, was it
June. It
April
was
or May?
June.
Oh, June. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, if it had come out in that sort of March to April range, I imagine it probably would have had a little bit more success. But I think that the next arms could definitely capitalize on that, you know, the everything people wanted from the first arms and putting it into the new game, just taking it further since the sequel. The shift from Splatoon to Splatoon 2 was massive. We got completely brand new ideas. We got playable Octolings in the DLC, which people had wanted since the first game came out. So I think that'll be big for them. And I mean, how can a game really be a failure if if there was a character that from Arms that ended up in Smash Brothers? Come on.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And truthfully, I remember it coming out in June. I'm like, I have this weird thing where I remember every release date for these games that I buy. Like it was June, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure it was June 16th. But my biggest problem with ARMS, it's like the reason I think it didn't do so well in terms of like, like being talked about and having popularity today is because Nintendo just didn't support it. There was no updates, there was no DLC, there was no nothing. So it's like in the future, if an Arms 2 were to happen, Nintendo needs to have a roadmap, whether that be paid DLC or free updates, and basically say, hey, we're going to make 4 new fighters or something across the next year, and we're going to update the game and keep it going. That's what they got to do with a fighting game. You can't just leave it and let it sit, you know? So hopefully that's what happens. But yeah, man, I really hope we do get an arms too, or whatever they'd call it. I don't know. Maybe it's
For
legs this
sure.
time.
Oh God, that'd be great. But no, I definitely agree that, and that's something we will probably talk about at some point later on in the series in general. Is the main thing that I noticed that Nintendo Switch and Nintendo during the Nintendo Switch era had a big problem with was consistently updating their multiplayer games. Besides from Smash Brothers, most of their big multiplayer titles, whether it was ARMS, any of their Mario sports games, or even Splatoon, did not get many updates past the 6 month mark. You know,
They dropped the
yeah,
ball.
like they really did. Like the sports games really only lasted until the end of the year, and then the next year would be a new sports games. Splatoon 3 got very slow updates. There were some new maps here or there, but the momentum really started to fall compared to Splatoon 2's momentum. And I did not hear a single person talk about the DLC for Splatoon 3, especially the first one just had what? An Inkopolis as like a cosmetic, which added nothing to the game in the long run. And even the side order DLC didn't really do a lot compared to how many people talked about Octo expansion and how that completely changed the base game. So, and I mean, yeah, even ARMS. ARMS is a big example of that, where it really didn't get anything else beyond 2017. So I hope that they will continue to update their games long past their first year, like they did with Smash Brothers. And please, please, Nintendo, you're on the right track with the Mario Party games. Fix your netcode, for the love of God. Just make a more feasible online multiplayer for all of your games, and I will be so satisfied.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I know that they did actually upgrade their servers a couple years back, and they slowly started making games for them and transitioning things over. But yeah, like we're gonna need to see some serious improvement for Switch 2 because just intuition speaking, into I don't even know if I call it intuition, just my personal opinion. Um, I think we're about to get a price increase for Switch Online, and
Definitely.
I am not going to be happy to be paying for that if the multiplayer quality is what it has been. So let's get an upgrade going and let's make it look good. But moving on, because we got to keep it going, EPD 10, and this is one of our last few EPD groups, the 2D Mario and Pikmin team. So on Switch, we've got Mario Maker 2, Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Mario Wonder, and Pikmin 4. Really, really solid team. And I might even argue Nintendo's strongest EPD team for Switch 2, just in terms of the fact that we got all these 2D Mario games and Pikmin 1, 2, 3, and 4. I mean, that's awesome. So I'm definitely excited to see what they're going to be able to cook up on Switch 2. But I mean, what about you? What are you hoping to see for EPD 10?
This is actually really hard for me because I really don't know what they could be doing next. I mean, obviously, the easy answer is a new 2D Mario and a new Pikmin. But we got a 2D Mario not that long ago in the form of Wonder, and we got a Pikmin 4 in 2023. So it's really only been 2 years since those brand new games. So I can't imagine what they could be doing next. Obviously, Mario Maker 3 just makes sense, especially with a Wonder theme. That would just, again, that just makes sense to me. Hopefully, more expanded themes. There were so many missing slots on the Mario Maker 2 that everyone had so much speculation for, and I would really love them to see them do more with that. You know, maybe more 3D Mario themes like Odyssey or Galaxy would be great. A long shot to be sure, but it'd still be fun. And I think that they're going to be doing a lot with that Wonder formula for a long time, especially with how the new Super Mario Bros formula lasted from what, the DS to the Switch.
Yeah.
Like that got a lot of mileage, and I am so glad to be done with that era and to be entering this new Wonder era.
Me too. And yeah, I'm really interested. I mean, you make a great point there. Wonder, over 13 million copies sold, of course, and was released in October 2023. So, truthfully, you're kind of sitting here like, what are they going to do? Because Wonder released how many years? I guess that's 6 years into
Two
this
years.
life of Nintendo
Yeah.
Switch.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way they're going to do that again. And we don't really have like a Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe that we can drop as okay, hey, here's 2D Mario early on. Like, they're going to have to be cooking something. So I think this is another scenario where like we'll get the 2D Mario game in either the end of year two or in sometime in year three, and it will just be a brand new 2D Mario game from that team. Because I mean, truthfully, those are another. I mean, it's Mario. It's Mario. You need Mario on Switch, and I
Yeah.
think also Pikmin. That's another huge one. Pikmin 4 sold 3.5 million copies. I mean, that's crazy for Pikmin. And Pikmin 5, I'm sure, is in development, and I'm sure that's going to be a game that comes out relatively early on in Switch's life cycle, or Switch 2, I guess. But I don't know. I mean, I just think that EPD 10 has two of the fastest growing IPs right now. And you say, "Oh, Mario, it's Mario." But yes, but like the sales that the 2D Mario games are getting right now, it's still growing. And that's a market they're going to want to take advantage of. And I think that both 2D Mario and Pikmin are going to have to be on Switch 2 pretty early on.
For sure. Yeah.
So, really, I think that leaves us with just a few other minor additions into the Nintendo development teams, right? And that's really NST, which is the team that worked on Donkey Mario vs. Donkey Kong the remake and F-Zero 99. And this is actually a team based in Redmond at Nintendo HQ in North America. So, what are they working on? I have no idea, but I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe I would like to say that they might be working on a new online game, maybe for Switch 2, but I don't know. Oh, maybe I don't know. Do you remember that playtest that they did? That crazy playtest?
Yes. Yeah. I remember. Yeah. A few months ago, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I don't remember exactly, but I want to say that that Switch playtest is probably it's probably Nintendo EPD4, the team behind Labo and Ring Fit,
Yeah.
or it's NST. It's one of the two. So
Yeah.
regardless, I there's not really much that I can say here definitively and predict because it's kind of hard. But I will say like I think that NST, they did do that. They did help with the Mario versus Donkey Kong thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they're working on like a new game like F-Zero 99 for the Switch too. I really wouldn't.
Yeah. Probably another 99 game because those appear to be very successful for Nintendo in the long run. So I don't even know what 99 they could give us. I don't know, like a Star Fox 99 would be
Oh,
fun.
dude, bring back Star Fox. I'm shocked he didn't make an appearance on Switch. That has to happen for two.
Yeah, I think Zero soured a lot of people on it, but I do hope that Switch 2 kind of brings back a lot of those franchises that have been dormant for a while. Whether it's F Zero, Star Fox, I mean, I would adore a new Mother game. It's a long shot, but I would love it.
That's more of a long shot than a new Star Fox, man.
True, that is true.
But
I
to be
mean, at this
honest,
point,
I don't know. Like, bro, we saw all kinds of games come from Nintendo that, like, I mean, they revived some crazy niche franchises that were like, what? I mean, Famicom Detective Club, great example. That is literally the niche of niche. It was only available in Japan. They remade the first two and they made a new one. Like, we're gonna see more IP revivals like that. But I really hope that we get some of the ones that we didn't get. Like, I don't know, man. I'd love to see like we said, Punch Out, Chibi Robo, all
yes.
that kind of stuff. Like, I want to see these super niche ones that have been dormant for so long, and especially Star Fox. Like, let's give them a new life on Switch too, especially because we've got the Switch library too. We don't need to port those games. Like, let's make new ones and remaster old ones. But anywho, I mean, yeah, man, I hope
Speaking of
so.
remasters, though, I my big hot take, and I think we could also definitely do a episode about this at some point down the line. I think it is only a matter of time, and this may be my copium speaking, until we get a Mother 3 remake. I think it has to happen. I think Nintendo is foolish at this point not to consider how many people have been wanting a Mother return, especially Mother 3. Mother 3 literally just got released last year on the Japan's Nintendo Switch online service. So they're not foolish. They have to know.
I think you're coping, man. I'm sorry. I think you're
Maybe,
coping. Like
maybe.
until you say a remake. A remake is a bold statement. Until we were to get an Earthbound 1 and 2 remake, we're not getting Mother 3 remake. Like they're not going to remake
True.
the third one and just leave the first two blank. Like talk to me if they actually do something with Earthbound. I'll believe when I see it. But we got to move on. And really, now we're going to transition to the other Nintendo-owned studios outside of EPD, and that's really kicking it off with Retro Studios. And we know what they're working on, Prime 4.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of an easy one. They're working on Prime 4. We know they're working on Prime 4. They've been working on Prime 4 since 2019, I
Yeah,
think.
2019. Yeah, probably earlier than that. That's just when it was made public.
Yeah, so that's kind of a no-brainer. But after Prime 4, I mean, new 2D or 3D Donkey Kong would be very nice.
No, that's all I want in life at this point is a new Donkey Kong game. Like I Tropical Freeze, I don't care what you say, what anyone says. Tropical Freeze is one of the greatest 2D platformers ever made. And the fact that Retro has not been able to make a new one since 2014 is insane. Like, we need a new Donkey Kong game so bad. I want a 2D one by Retro, and I want a 3D one. Give me both.
Yes.
Like, I want
yes.
DK. DK needs his time to shine, especially with his creepy new design.
Yep, I want to see that same design applied to Diddy, Dixie, and especially Cranky Kong.
Yeah, no, I really hope that we get a new game and, like, bring back K. Rool. Like, let's get crazy with it. I hope it happens, but we'll see. But, yeah, Retro's the easy one. And really, I mean, next one, Next Level Games. I have a sneaking suspicion they might be working on Luigi's Mansion 4, right? Maybe.
That would make sense.
So this is the team behind Luigi's Mansion, Super Mario Strikers, and Punch-Out on Wii. And as much as I want them to do a new Punch-Out, I don't think it's going to happen yet. But I do think that Luigi's Mansion 4 is like the same. Like, I already said this earlier on our last episode. Like, it has to happen soon. I know it's happening. Like, Luigi's Mansion 3, 15 million copies. That game was in production since 2019. There's no way. And also, that is one of Nintendo's best series. I'm sorry, it is. I'm so happy that it's finally got the recognition it deserves. But oh my gosh, like, I need to see this fourth game and what they're going to do with it. Like, it's going to get crazy, man.
Yeah, I definitely agree, especially with the, Luigi's Mansion 3 had the hotel theme that felt right out of The Shining, which is a crazy sentence now that I said it out loud. But seeing where they could go next, maybe more mansions, maybe other similar horror themes, a cabin in the woods, perhaps. But I also think it wouldn't be surprising if before we get a Luigi's Mansion 4, maybe back-to-back announcements of a remake or remaster of the original Luigi's Mansion.
I totally agree.
I think Nintendo has had a habit of trying to put all of their big franchises in the same place at once. Xenoblade, all of the Xenoblade games are available now soon to be available on the Nintendo Switch. And 2 out of 3 of the Luigi's Mansion games are available on Switch. One more, that's all we need. Punch-Out, I definitely agree. I would love a new Punch-Out. I don't think it's going to happen at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens, especially if our theory of Nintendo bringing back old IPs is true. But here's a question. Was Next Level Games the one that worked on Mario Sluggers? Or was that Camelot?
Ooh, that I believe. I'm trying to think. I believe that was actually Bandai Namco. I want to
Oh,
say.
okay.
I want to
Yeah.
say. I gotta think on that. Okay,
Because I
yeah.
was
I
gonna
just checked. It
say,
is banned on Namco. Yeah, I had a feeling.
okay. Because if they had worked on that, I was gonna say, and we'll get back to this later, but I think, we've gotten Strikers, we've gotten the tennis games, we've gotten the golf games all back on Switch with middling quality here and there, but that's again a subject for another time. I think Sluggers coming back on the Switch would be great. But in terms of next level games, I don't think we're going to see Strikers for a while, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, the new Strikers was not good. It
No,
was
it
not
wasn't.
good. It
No, it
was
wasn't.
not good. Yeah, I think you make some great points. I mean, I agree. I think that the remake of Luigi's Mansion 1 not being made already is a crime against humanity. I don't know what we're
Yep.
doing.
Yeah.
Nintendo, like you said, they've done a phenomenal job at preserving the library of so many series. I look at Pikmin. We got Pikmin 1 plus 2. We got Pikmin 3 Deluxe. We have Pikmin 4. Entire series playable. Boom. Xenoblade. We got Xenoblade 2, Torna. Then we got DE, Xenoblade Definitive Edition. We got the expansion for that. We got Xenoblade 3, Future Redeemed. Now we're getting X. Whole series playable. Boom. I mean, you can play almost every Mario 3D Mario game except for Galaxy 2. Thank you, Nintendo. On Switch. Boom. I mean, it's like you look at all these franchises, like almost everything is playable on there. And it's like Luigi's Mansion. I'm looking at my shelf right now. It's like I've got Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, Luigi's Mansion 3, no Luigi's Mansion. Like, where is it? I want
Yep.
because the first game is so good, man. It's so good. Like, I really it needs to happen. So hopefully that's something that they work on. And honestly, like I totally agree. Like if Luigi's Mansion 4 is something that's gonna take a little bit to come out, maybe a year or two, like shoot, let's drop Luigi's Mansion remake and let's have it be a cross-gen title across Switch and Switch 2. Like screw it, why not?
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, like next level, great studio. Really looking forward to seeing what they come up with. And moving on, NDQ. This is they just released Super Mario Party Jamboree, so we get a Mario Party game every couple years. I think it's every 3 years on Switch. We got 2018, 2021, and 2024. So I would expect that it'll probably be a little bit before we get a new Mario Party. Maybe we get some content for Mario Party Jamboree with the Switch 2,
That'd be nice.
right?
That'd be really nice.
But I think an interesting one, they also develop Clubhouse games. And we got Clubhouse Games 51 Classics on Switch, I think in 2020, or 2021.
Sounds
And
about right.
that game was great. I really like that game. And I don't know, I'd like to see them maybe bring something like that and make a new one. And that's a smaller release, but it's still interesting to me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Clubhouse games would make sense. I don't even know how you'd make a sequel to Clubhouse games. I guess you just add more games. Clubhouse, what was it? 50, what was it? 51
51
games in
Worldwide
the last one?
Classic, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess now they can do 102. I don't know, but if they really want to be ambitious with it. But in terms of Mario Party, I definitely agree that it'll be a bit before we get a new one, but I really do want to see more DLC for Jamboree because that's something that the previous Mario Party games have been lacking. And listen, I this is something that has been bothering me for quite a while. Every time they release a new Mario Party, starting with Mario Party Superstars, they will only have the Nintendo 64 retro courses. Where is the GameCube representation or the
Yeah.
Wii representation for that matter? Come on, the Wii and the GameCube had some of the best boards in Mario Party history. If we can get some new ones and some DLC ones for, retro ones coming back for Jamboree in the meantime, that'd be great because I loved Jamboree. That was one of my favorite games released last year. I had such a fun time with it.
Yeah, no, Jamboree is really great. And honestly, I totally agree. Like I'm really hoping that they add some of the later boards from later Mario parties, like maybe Mario Party 7 or 8. But it's interesting because what do you think about the reason that they might not be doing that is because we might be getting GameCube, Nintendo Switch Online for Switch 2.
Ooh, yes. Yeah, I think GameCube, I wouldn't be surprised if, you mentioned it earlier that Nintendo Switch Online could get a price raise. And we've gotten 64. Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games
And
recently,
NES and SNES. I
and
mean, we've got
NES and
everything up to
SNES.
GameCube. So that's really
Yeah,
the next
so
step.
I think GameCube is only a matter of time. I wouldn't be surprised if they announced that in April. But, I think another question is I think DS games could end up making that jump too.
Oh,
And that would be even crazier. And that would completely preserve their entire library. And I think that will be something they focus on a lot is continuing the preservation of their older games. Because Nintendo's actually been really good about that. They used to be not so good about that, especially in the early days of the Switch, but they're getting better and better. And I think you're definitely right that we could get, instead of having GameCube boards for the Mario Party games on, Jamboree, we instead get Mario Party 4, Mario Party 5, Mario Party 6 in the, Nintendo Switch Online service. Though, to be fair, that doesn't really mean that they can't cross over. I mean, Mario Party 2 and 3 are available on the Nintendo Switch Online service, and we just got Western Land on Jamboree, so who knows?
oh, for sure. I'm just saying, like, I think, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, but having like, let's say we get 4 Mario Party games, right, that are brought over on Switch
True.
Online, like that's better than just getting a couple boards, in my opinion. But
Very true.
we'll see. I mean, I don't know. It's really interesting. Switch Online is great. It's $20. You get all the stuff. But I do wish that you could still buy these games. And even then, you're not really
Yeah.
buying them. You're getting licenses, but beyond the point. So, last but not least, first party studios. We've got Monolith Soft. I could talk your ear off. I could talk for probably 2 hours about this, but it's Xenoblade 4. I don't care what people are saying. It's Xenoblade 4.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you might as well have your own Xenoblade podcast at this point. But, I definitely agree. Xenoblade 4 is just kind of a no-brainer. I mean, when did Xenoblade 3 release again?
July 29th, 2022.
Of course you know that by your heart. But yeah, it's been what, 3 years? I think that'll probably come out in 2026.
It's 2026. See, I was
Yeah,
dead set. I was dead set. You asked me this time last year. I was dead set that this would be the year we got Xenoblade 4 because the way that Monolith has operated on the Switch is they have a 2-year cycle where we've gotten content, they skip a year, and then they come back and do 2 years of content. Now, for the most part, that's followed true, except for Xenoblade Definitive Edition, which was we got content in 2020, nothing in 2021, and then we got Xenoblade 3 in 2022. But really, we have one break year, right? So last year was the break year. We got nothing from Monolith in 2024. Obviously, we have X in literally like a month and a half, which is awesome.
yeah,
So I'm really excited about that. I'm really, I haven't played X in so long, so I'm really excited to jump back in and experience it again, especially with all the new story stuff. But I think that overall, I mean, Xenoblade 4 or whatever, I think it will be in April, and I think that it will be a 2026 game. It has to come out. Like Monolith isn't going to take 2 years and wait till 2027 to release this game. Like it's coming
no,
out, it's going to happen, and I'm sorry, like as much as people keep talking about new IP, this, that, Xenoblade has sold almost 9 million copies on Switch. It is literally one of the fastest growing JRPG series right now. And they're not going to abandon that. They're going to keep building. So it's going to be Xenoblade 4, and I will be very happy. But we'll see.
agreed.
So, I mean, really, that concludes our first party stuff. And really, we've just got a couple left in the second party realm. But I
Yeah,
mean, sitting right here, I mean, the big one, I think for a lot of people, myself included, HAL Laboratory, Kirby.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, there have been rumors circulating that there will be a Planet Robobot remaster slash port to the Switch. But after that, I mean, I'm not really sure if they're gonna make a new 3D Kirby or if it'll be a 2D Kirby first. I see us getting both at some point.
I totally agree. I think that overall, both 2D Kirby and 3D Kirby are really important to Nintendo. And it's just going to depend. It's like a flip of a coin, honestly, which one we get first. I mean, Forgotten Land was so phenomenally received and sold really well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get the 3D game first. But I think there's going to be so much Kirby. I mean, we get Kirby almost every single year, and it's always super great. It's fun. I mean, I've got all the Kirby games on Switch at this point. I love them all. But yeah, I mean, I'm just honestly looking forward to what's next for Kirby. I mean, there's so many ideas, and I really think that Switch 2, Switch in the early cycles took some really big risks. And then as the time went on, we had I feel like every franchise took one really big leap on Switch. And so I'm really excited to see what they do to follow that up. Almost what Tears of the Kingdom did for Breath of the Wild. Because we haven't seen a second entry in most of the series on Switch, like Odyssey, Kirby, Pikmin. They kind of just got their one entry and we've moved on. So I'm really interested to see kind of what we get for Kirby on Switch too, but it's nonetheless going to be super exciting.
Definitely. I think that there are so many places they could go in terms of gameplay mechanics, art style. Don't even get me started on the story. There are so many crazy places that they could go. I mean, for all we know, they could even give us a new curse game where you use the mouse or something to draw an outline on the Switch, like you did with Kirby and the Rainbow Curse and Canvas Curse. That'd be fun. But yeah, I think 2D and 3D Kirby are a no brainer, and I'm almost wondering if we might get some art style updates, at the very least for 2D Kirby, because Return to Dreamland had this sort of outline style and a lot more of a traditional cell shaded look to it. So who knows where they could go with that next?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I think that kind of Mario Wonder freestyle aesthetic that they went for, I think you'll see that kind of creativity bounce over to other genres. I'm super excited. I think the next Kirby game is going to be fantastic. So up next, Game Freak.
Hmm. I wonder. I really wonder what they're working on. I mean, we know exactly what they're working on. It couldn't be more obvious what they're working on. I mean, we've got Legend ZA this year, and we've got Gen 10 supposedly next year. I doubt we're going to get any new IPs from Game Freak, like Drill Dozer on the Game Boy Advance. If you remember that,
Oh yeah,
I wish you the best of luck. But yeah, I think Pokemon is going to do as Pokemon does.
yeah. I'm not expecting any surprises, and to be truthful, great. It's gonna sell. It's gonna be great. Sure. I don't know. I don't really play Pokemon, so. Anywho, you good to move on? I'm good to move
Oh,
on.
yeah.
Okay. Well, next is Camelot, and this is an interesting one. So they obviously did Mario Tennis Aces, Mario Golf Super Rush, but what I want to see from them is Golden Sun.
Yes, I think it's been way too long since we've had a new Golden Sun, and I think a brand new one would be great.
Even a
But
remake.
yeah, even a remake would be incredible. Unfortunately, though, knowing these guys, it's probably just going to be another Mario Tennis and Mario Golf game.
I mean, okay. I sit here though, and I almost wonder if Nintendo might let them make Mario Sluggers. Like, I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
I really would like that. Um, but yeah, it's funny because so with Golden Sun, right? I remember reading not that long ago that Nintendo apparently there's definitely interest in Golden Sun at Nintendo. And I don't know, it's just kind of the thing for me that I think that from a financial standpoint and from a IP perspective, Nintendo definitely likes to diversify things. And I think Golden Sun is legitimately one of the most perfect games that they could bring back because it's a massive series that you could just revive from the dead, revive from the dead, basically, right? And I mean, you sit here and I'm like, that's an RPG series that they could throw in, and like, wow, we have another big RPG series in a time where RPGs especially are really in demand and popular right now. And I just love to see another really story-driven Nintendo game outside of Xenoblade. So I hope it happens. I really do. I think it'd be awesome.
For sure. And I definitely agree that, giving Camelot sluggers wouldn't be the worst idea. But as we've kind of alluded to earlier, the sports games on the Switch were usually miss. Sometimes you got a hit, but even then it didn't last long because Nintendo wouldn't update it for that long. So, yeah, I really hope that with the Switch 2, they kind of have a new lease on life and more quality over quantity. I think Tennis was the only one that
I
was
was gonna say
positively received.
Aces was really good. I
Yeah,
still wish that the story mode was a little more in depth than what it was, but I think Aces overall was really solid, and they did a really good job with that one. And that should be the model going forward. Mario Golf Super Rush was not good. Strikers was not good.
yep.
I just want good quality Mario games that have a lot of stuff in them. And yeah, I mean, we'll see. But I would expect that we'll probably get our first big Mario sports game in 2026, like we did with Switch in
Yeah.
2018. But yeah, moving on. We've got Creatures. Just to briefly talk on this, this is the team that made Detective Pikachu. So maybe we get another one. I don't know. It's probably something Pokemon related though.
Yeah, judging by the name Creatures, I would not be surprised if
Right.
it's a new Pokemon. But, I do kind of on the subject of Pokemon because I'm also not the biggest Pokemon fan. I did grow up though on the spin-offs, and I would like to see more Pokemon spin-offs come back on the Switch. Stadium was very fun, and Stadium, the last real similar game we got to that formula was Battle Revolution on the Wii, which was my childhood. And everyone thought Pokémon Tournament would end up being a new Stadium game, and it ended up being Pokemon Cross Tekken, which is, again, another crazy sentence to say out loud. So, hopefully, I mean, for all we know, we could get a Pokémon tournament too. That wouldn't be made by creatures. But I do think we might get some, hopefully, new spin offs. Because to me, the comments are going to rip me apart for this. I've always enjoyed the spin offs more than I've enjoyed the actual base game. Whether it's Legends or, Mystery Dungeon or Snap or Stadium, I've liked those more than the traditional generation to generation things that they do.
And I think that's fair. I mean, different people have different things they want. And I mean, I get it. But yeah, I mean, for me at least, like, we'll see. I don't know. I'm so
Yeah.
disconnected from Pokemon at this point in my life. I don't know, man. Who knows? But anywho, next on the list, intelligent systems. And this is a really, really exciting one for me because, gosh, I love Fire Emblem, and nah, I can't say I love Paper Mario, but I really like the idea of Paper Mario. So I'm really excited for Fire Emblem on Switch 2 because we're gonna get the genealogy of a Holy War remake this year. It's gonna happen. And beyond that, like Fire Emblem, I guess it's 18 at this point, I think, or no,
Oh,
it might be
jeez.
19. I don't remember, but it's obviously we're really far into the series, and I think they're gonna do some great things. And honestly, like I think this is the time that you bring over and remaster Echoes or Fates, and you bring them over. And
Echoes, hopefully.
I'm really excited to see what they come up with. I think that Fire Emblem overall is one of Nintendo's best series right now. I mean, it's really consistent. And so I hope that they are able to make some really cool stuff at Intelligent Systems. And beyond that, like, let's make a Paper Mario game that allows backtracking by fast travel.
Oh, brother. I don't even get me started. I loved the Thousand Year Door remake. It was my first time playing it, and I've always had a soft spot for the Paper Mario games. But man, the backtracking in that game was rough, and learning that it was actually improved compared to the original game scared me. So, I would like a new Paper Mario game, something that is more closer to Thousand Year Door, because one thing I cannot hate on Thousand Year Door is the gameplay and the, traditional party system that it had with the companions that Mario can cultivate throughout his journey instead of just, oh, it's a Babomb, oh, it's a Toad with a fancy hat. Instead of that, we get Boos and Goombas and all these different unique characters that have their own backstories and character arcs. I think that'd be great. But in terms of Fire Emblem, I am pretty excited to see where they go with Fire Emblem. I got into Fire Emblem late, actually. Three Houses was my entry into the
Wow,
franchise.
really?
I know,
Wow.
yeah. But if they continue that formula, and just push it more and more to its limits, I think they're on to something brilliant there.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see kind of what form the next Fire Emblem game takes. I really enjoyed Engage, and that's despite a lot of people online telling you it's garbage. I really enjoyed it for what it was. It was supposed to be celebration of the anniversary, and I thought it was great. It was fun. I had a good time with it, but I'm really hoping that we get some really I don't know. I want to see a divergence from the storytelling we saw in Three Houses. Not that it was bad. I just like to see things shake things up. But I really want to see like a super grounded, like awesome, gruesome story. Like I want an M Fire Emblem game. Like I want some crazy
Yeah.
stuff. I don't know. But yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Intelligent Systems is a phenomenal team. They're a phenomenal studio, and I'm really excited about Fire Emblem in particular. Um, and really, I mean, beyond that, Grezzo, that's a big name now. They used to be no one knew who they were. They've done a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. So I mean, Grezzo did the Luigi's Mansion remake for 3DS. They did Majora's Mask 3D. They did Ever Oasis, Zelda Triforce Heroes, and then on Switch, they did Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom, which was obviously it's a brand new 2D Zelda game. It's crazy, but yeah, they did that. So what do you think they're working on?
Honestly, who knows? They've proven themselves to be a very versatile studio that can work on many different franchises at any given point. Clearly, they've been working a lot on Zelda recently, and that seems to be where they've had the most traction. But in terms of where they could go with Zelda, I really don't know. I mean, we just got Echoes of Wisdom, so I doubt we'll get a game similar to that for a bit. I would like to see a new remake from them. I would love to see Majora's Mask 3D, and they also worked on Ocarina of Time 3D, didn't they?
I don't. Did they? I'm not sure. I almost want to say that was Nintendo's internal studio, but I could be wrong. Gosh, I'm
Either
not
way,
sure.
yeah, that's totally fair. Either way, I would like to see more Zelda stuff from them. I don't know if I'd say I want the Link's Awakening style applied to Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, because that wouldn't really make any sense. But I think that there's a lot of places they could go, and I think they're gonna be the studio to watch going into the Nintendo Switch 2, because really, who knows what they could be cooking? How about you? What do you think?
I think they're gonna be forced to just work on 2D Zelda going forward.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's probably what they're gonna be doing is Zelda. And that's cool. But I really would like to see them do stuff other than Zelda, just because they have such a dynamic background, and I think the more the better, really, with studios like that. But who knows, man? I'm really excited to see what they're cooking. And beyond that, I mean, we've got like two or three more really big partners that kind of work on these games, and that's Bandai Namco number one, Smash Brothers, Pokemon Snap, and Pokken Tournament.
I mean, Smash Brothers kinda feels like a no-brainer. I mean, here and there they'll probably end up working on little things similar to Pokemon Snap and Pokemon Tournament. Like I said, they'll probably end up doing those spin-offs that I mentioned earlier, maybe like Stadium. But Smash Brothers, I think it's literally only a matter of time. It's almost like a ticking bomb to see when we get the first Smash Brothers announcement.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, it's crazy to say. I wouldn't even be surprised if we don't even make it through 2025 without getting the announcement. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's this year.
Yeah.
But I think that it's probably next year. It has to be next year. Like, they're gonna do it. They want that game out as soon as possible. I truthfully believe it. So we'll see, but yeah, that's definitely what Bandai's working on. And I agree. I think I could see a stadium or something like that, but yeah, it's really interesting. Bandai being a partner is great, and they've done a lot of work with Nintendo. I mean, even as we mentioned, Mario Sluggers. Maybe they're working on a Mario Sluggers game. I mean, who knows?
Oh, that'd be nice.
So yeah, Bandai's a really important studio. And really, I mean, for our final three that we've got here, so we got Platinum, which Bayonetta, and Astral Chain.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'll probably be more likely that we get an Astral Chain 2 first. We got Bayonetta 3 in, was it 2022 or 2023?
I believe it was 2023 or 2. I don't actually. That's a good
I think
point.
it might have been 2
Yeah, it's
actually.
2022. It was like October. It was
Yeah.
October or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you're
that makes
right.
sense. Um so that I feel like Astral Chain was huge for them. I think a lot of people liked it, myself included. Now that I'm thinking about it, I actually want to play it again. But I'd be really curious to see where they go with Bayonetta 4 when that eventually comes around because didn't Hideki Kamiya leave?
Almost everyone in their studio left. Like Tara, who is the director of Astral Chain and the combat designer of Nier Automata, left. So I have no idea. Like Platinum's not in a good place right now. Now, granted, they got a big game coming, Ninja Gaiden 4. It looks awesome. Really excited for that. But I really don't know what's going on with Platinum, and it almost makes you wonder, like, if Tara might have gone to Nintendo because he loved. I mean, he directed Astral Chain. He talked about it all the time. He loved Astral Chain, and I would love a sequel. I thought it was great. It sold pretty well, being a new IP, over 1 million copies. And I mean, I don't know. I think that Astral Chain 2 seems like a game that could happen for Switch too. And if Platinum's working on anything for Nintendo, it's that. And that's, I mean, a lot of that has to do with the fact that, like, I don't know what's going to happen with Bayonetta, but I think Astral 2,
Especially after 3.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think Astral Chain 2 makes a lot of sense for them. And beyond Platinum, we've got Mercury Steam. They're working on the sequel to Metroid Dread. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
reading. That's pretty cut and dry, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, yeah, I would love to. I mean, we could talk all about this, but I mean, they're working on a 2D Metroid. That's all they've ever done. We know they're doing that. I don't think it's. I think it's crazy to think otherwise. But beyond them, we've got Good Fuel, and that's our final one. Is like our second and third party partners, right? Like this is Good Fuel worked on the Yoshi games, so Yoshi's Crafted World. They've done Wario Land in the past, and they made Kirby's Epic Yarn. So what are you hoping Good Feel's working on? Because they're working on something for Switch too.
Yes, so there's an easy answer and a not so easy answer. The easy answer is, of course, another Yoshi, whatever that form that takes, whether it's another yarn style or something else entirely. That makes sense. They did they release one on the Switch? I don't
Crafted World.
remember.
Yep, 2019 in
That's it.
March.
Yep, I remember that. And I don't see us getting a Kirby Epic Yarn sequel. I mean, maybe it's certainly not impossible. But personally, I would love to see a new Wario Land from them, especially with the recent advent of Wario Land inspired games like Pizza Tower and Anton Blast. I would love a new style in that formula from them. They could even take it further, instead of Wario Land, give us Waluigi World or something. I don't know. But what do you think?
Wario Land would be awesome. If there's a game that I hope they're working on, it's Wario Land. Just because I really do think that would be so exciting. I mean, like you said, it's the all these games that are coming out that are inspired by it are more prevalent than ever. And I think that overall, having a Wario Land new game would be so exciting for so many people. So I hope it happens, but I don't know. I mean, I think Good Feel. I don't know that they're working on a Yoshi game. I don't know. I really am interested to see what they're working on. Maybe they're working on the next 2D Kirby game. Like, I don't know.
Ooh, that'd be nice. Yeah, I think there's a lot of places they could go with that. I mean, you know, I wonder, I don't remember, but were they the studio that worked on Rainbow Curse? Or is that someone
Um,
else?
God, Rainbow Curse. I want to say that that was Hal.
Yeah, that would make sense. But I want to see that clay style come back instead of more yarn.
Yeah. No, I would be interested to see. I think that they're going to take new approaches, and I'd be shocked if we kept more yarn, Kirby. I know you're very anti-yarn when it comes to crafts and stuff like that. So, no,
Yes,
but
I'm a big yarn
yeah,
hater.
but I don't know. It'll be interesting. But I mean, overall, Nintendo's busy. They're a very busy company
Yes.
right now, and all their development partners are working tirelessly to likely bring countless games to Switch 2. And really, I mean, we just went over today the, first, second, a couple third party partners. I mean, there's so much beyond that. But of course, we'll have to save that for another time. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching episode 2 of Switch Point. And be sure to let us know down below why you think Saris Sarai's predictions are wrong or why Saris should like Minecraft. And we'll let you know. But thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.